save the best for last, right? Are we going to
convince them? Still awake?
It's going to be best for last, right? Okay. All right, so we're going to start off with an audience question, right, and get them involved. And we're going to ask them, do you believe this is truly the golden age of travel product, or is just another hype cycle? Okay. So what do you think? What is your answer?
All right. My answer. Yeah. I think it is a new golden age. I think two things have happened simultaneously, which are really exciting. The bar has been raised for all of us by a new technology, and the starting line has moved to a different place. So that opens up a completely new space for all of us in the travel industry to explore. So I think it's a new golden age for sure.
I'm also in camp golden age. I think finally we can answer the actual travel questions travelers have in their own words and stay with them through the entire journey. So I think that context will unlock magic.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think on top of what you guys are saying, we're now much, much better at dealing with massive data that we collect from our customers so we can know them better, we can make use of data, mine them to make sure we're building everything surrounding the customers. So yeah, a golden age for sure.
All right, so the golden age, because the bar has been raised, everybody's starting at the beginning line again, right? And you are saying that you can finally answer the questions in words and context, and you're saying now you can build experience around the customer. So this sounds very exciting. But, my mother always said, excitement is also the other side of the coin of terrifying. Like, I think it was yesterday's panelists, like, how do you build when you don't know what's going to happen actually tomorrow? So what's keeping you awake at night? Do you sleep?
I do sleep, but mostly what keeps me awake is my 3-year-old son. But, no, I don't think about the travel industry per se, but we were talking about this a bit yesterday. The thing that worries me is slop, AI slop. If the internet becomes full of low-quality content, then we have two problems. The first problem is, as a user, what on earth do I trust? How do I know where to go to get high-quality information? And then there's a bigger global problem, which is how do the models keep evolving? How does the technology get better if it's just recursively ingesting low-quality stuff into it? And there's a risk that we stagnate. So I think we need a way of understanding and managing that and differentiating between, call it human, authentic content and AI-generated content in a better way. So at a global level, that's what I worry about.
A 3-year-old is a tough one.
That's what I worry about at a local level. Yeah.
I also sleep well, but I wake up in the morning running because the pace of change and innovation is as fast as I've ever seen by a lot. And so I think, how do we keep up while keeping very true to what users' expectations are as they change as fast as the technology is changing?
My cat wakes me up every 6 a.m., so she needs to be fed.
Your cat?
My cat, yes.
Okay.
I have a lovely cat. Yeah, but back to the question, I think it's the uncertainty of the AI thing. You don't know what's going to be built the next day. You don't know how to tell which is true, like what the other David just mentioned, the authenticity of the data. And also you don't know how others are going to make of these tools. I think it's very challenging for all of us to, number one, keep track, and number two, not forget why we're using these tools and who are we building the product for, which I think our users.
Right. So to the point of the AI slop and what do I trust and who do I trust, isn't that an opportunity, therefore, for brands? Like you've built a brand with your customers, Klook and Google. People call you the profit extraction engine here, but you have a lot of customers and you have a lot of loyal customers too. So is there an opportunity there for you then to build a moat around authentic content and say, you can trust me, maybe don't trust them? What do you think?
I think trust is everything, and it's, of course, very asymmetrical. You can lose trust much more quickly than you can gain trust. I think the investments in trust in this world will be significant. It will cost real money in terms of R&D, sourcing data, maintaining that data, and keeping it accurate over time. For us, that's the ground truth of maps, local flight schedules, hotel metadata, imagery around the world, video. I think it's immensely important to have all those sources and to curate them well. it will cost, and it will be a long game rather than a game that's solved overnight.
Okay, David?
Yeah, I agree, and I do think there is a role, or there's an opportunity for brands to be a badge of quality. And it's, you come to my company or your company or whoever else's because I know that you're doing the right thing with the content and you're moderating it properly and you're tracking it and getting the lineage of it and everything and being truthful. So I do think that there's a sort of a seal of approval that can be put on with a brand if you do it right. I also think, kind of, as we play the tape forward, I think it's good for the travel industry because I think in a world where content is free, real human experience of going out into the world and experiencing something will become even more valuable. So I think net, if the trend here is actually good for everyone in this room.
Okay, so if the opportunity is to somehow, have a seal of approval that's been put by your brand around the content and say, hey, you can trust me, right? And that's going to take a lot of investment, as you said, investment in cost. So David, how do you feel, right? Because here are two brands that obviously have a lot of money. Google probably is in the best position because it has all the data. You have me, at every point of my life. So how does a brand like Klook then compete, to build that moat around authenticity?
Yeah, I think to build on what the two Davids just mentioned, I think the physical part of travel will always exist, and that's very important, which is also why we're leveraging these experiences from our creators. So we are not alone, we have a community of creators. They go travel, they make authentic content, they put it on social, we support them. So we're like, we don't have as much money as what you guys have, but we have the community, and we work very closely with them.
Okay, so you're creating your own content pool through qualifying your creators and making sure that they are
and they're so authentic. Yes.
That they are authentic. Okay. All right. So we've talked about the bigger picture of what's happening. It's very exciting. I don't envy you guys. I mean, your job is really tough right now. But David, I mean, your role at Booking has kind of evolved in line with the business, right? So you started in rental cars, then you went into trips, which was everything was non-accommodation. And now you're heading accommodation. So how is accommodation more complex than any other vertical? And what are you trying to fix?
So, so I've sort of operated in almost all of the travel verticals in some capacity. Accommodation is different because it's big, but it's not because it's big. It's very, very diverse. So, in flights, for example, every flight operator out there is very professional. Whereas in accommodations, it's everything from Accor in the room through to John's apartment, right? So the diversity of need of the partner is just dramatically different. So that's a challenge to meet everyone where they are as a business and to serve very, very diverse needs. The other thing I would say is my favorite topic at the minute is regulation. So accommodation is an increasingly, particularly in Europe, where we're centered, it's an increasingly regulated industry. And we have to deal with the regulation not only in one region, but globally. So if I want to make a change to the product, I maybe need to think about consumer protection regulation in California and payment regulation in Indonesia and something else in Austria and how I combine them. So that's very challenging. And we're trying to sort of platformize that and make it abstract so that our teams can focus on being creative and innovative in their space, and they don't need to worry about how they meet all of that. But it's a real challenge when you're global.
Right.
I'm sure you'd have that same experience.
Yeah, I mean, you live in Zurich, you sit in Zurich, right?
I do.
Yeah, okay, so, Europe. I mean, David is lucky he's in Asia. It's not so regulated, right?
By the way, I would say we embrace regulation. It's good for everyone, right? It's good for the traveler, good for partners, all of that, right? It's a good thing, but it's just very complex to manage, particularly in accommodation.
Okay, so James, you joined Google in 2017, and now you lead product for Google Flights, Lodging, and Travel Sustainability, right? I think tell us about the new flight deals that you've just launched. There was quite a lot of media around it. What kind of customer adoption are you seeing, and can we learn about where and how search is going through that product?
You said a moment ago that you didn't envy us. I think we're lucky because we get to build products like this that were almost science fiction 3, 4, 5 years ago. So for those who don't know, flight AI deals take a human-entered query. You can say, I want to spend a week in a European foodie city in March or April, and it will go find every possible flight deal from wherever you're coming from. It understands the foodie cities. It understands dates. You can even give more complex dates, like when a concert is on or when it's not a holiday. And it comes back with great deals. So I ran that query from Zurich before I left, and there was a flight to Naples, nonstop, for a 65% discount. So users absolutely love it because it frees them having to hand enter query after query after query, city, date, looking at calendars, fussing. I think it's magic.
So you're making science fiction come true for your customers.
I think we are making science fiction come true, and I think this is just a little, you've kind of just opened the door into what's really possible. It is a lot of energy behind it to make it trustworthy and to make it accurate and to make sure it's being a good version of this tool. So we didn't rush it, but now you'll start to see more and more of these kinds of features show up across Google surfaces in AI mode and search and everywhere.
Right, okay, and so it's in Europe or is it global now?
We started in English-speaking countries in North America and a few others. It's expanding much more broadly.
And soon you'll get into hotel AI and tours and activities. David, you're so screwed. Okay, no, no, I don't mean. So, we talk about verticals that are complex. So you've talked about accommodation. This guy is so excited about the flight deals that he's launched. Tours and activities is one of the most complex, right? Even more complex than accommodation, right? So tell us about the biggest pain point that you're trying to fix.
Well, I think right now it's still about how to get the users to discover what is actually speaking to them. Although it has advanced over the years a lot, but still the challenge is still there. We have so many supplies for each of the destinations, and every user is different. Of course, we can learn their behaviors better. We can understand their queries from AI and all the other tools, but still, it's still something we're trying to solve. So to solve that, obviously two sides. One is the supply. We need to make sure that we have more and more mid-to-long-tail niche supplies that will actually speak to the users. If you're like first time in Japan, you'll be looking for something very unique. We need to have that. And the other thing is how do we match the demand to the supply, which how to understand the users are actually to Japan for the first time. He's already done kimono, done cooking class, done the samurai practicing, and now what's left for them to do. Matching this is actually what it's challenging, but it's very fun to work on.
Right, okay. And do you see a time when you could actually have the kind of search that, James has enabled with flights, where I can say, I am absolutely crazy about sumo wrestlers. Yeah. And, I want to do this, and at the same time, I want to eat this and all that. Is that the way that you see search going for tours and activities?
I think, yes, the users are going to tell us more about their intention, not what exactly they're looking for, and we're going to help to look for things that's speaking to those intentions for them. And we're secretly building things. It's too early to talk about this, but we're trying to somehow leverage the new technologies to make this work.
Okay, so that's why I want to move on to like AI in action, right? So we're talking abstract. Although you've talked about a product that is live, you've got a use case. Can you talk about a use case that goes beyond efficiency and productivity gains, but it's about actually, and not squeezing more margins or whatever, but it's about pleasing the traveler?
Yeah, can I give you two?
Yeah.
An external one, you mentioned, I think, earlier, we've just partnered with OpenAI to bring basically booking as a branded experience into ChatGPT. And why, right? It's because users love the experience they get on ChatGPT, and if we can make the product discoverable in a place where they're already operating and much more seamlessly bring them into booking, great for everyone, right? So that's kind of, we look at using the technology not just internally, but also externally wherever we can. But I'll give you an internal use case, because I think it's a fun one. It's a recent one for us. Who here wants to stay in the 7th arrondissement in Paris?
Who wants to what?
No, okay, one person maybe.
Sounds lovely.
Who here thinks it would be nice to stay in the neighborhood near the Eiffel Tower? Means a lot more, at very least, right? I can understand what I'm doing. I don't know what the 7th arrondissement is. So again, very narrow use case, but I love it. We've hydrated all of our maps location names with what people colloquially call the place. It has meaning, near to Orchard Road or near to the Eiffel Tower or whatever, close to shopping mall X. And users can understand what that means in a much more real way than a district name on a map. And it makes it easier to understand what I'm booking. So that's a thing, back to your point about science fiction, would have been impossible to do 2 years ago because we source all of those colloquial phrases from AI, right? And we have dozens of this type of use case all over our product because our sort of meta goal with AI has been to make it completely democratized across all of booking. And we try to enable our teams to be free and experiment with the technology wherever they can.
Okay, so getting travelers to be way more hyper-local then, and
That's
really
an example
zeroing.
of it, yeah, but it's a narrow one, but I like it because it's kind of emotive.
Okay, and James and David, where do you see AI having the biggest near-term impact? Is it discovery, is it conversion, is it servicing, or is it loyalty?
I think there's a great argument for all of them. From my view, I would say that in the near term, the discovery to conversion kind of stage, when you get to specific options faster, with higher confidence, with accurate dates, with prices, following the vibe you're looking for, going to Paris with a 3-year-old, I think that will really drive some better outcomes there and help users book more confidently.
From our case, I would say it's the servicing, because we're almost the last mile. Many things can go wrong. And given the nature of how fragmented experiences are, it's actually very hard to make sure that the customer is well served. So we use AI not only to help the customers, but also to help the agents who are serving the customers. So back to your first question, I think it's very, very interesting. One of the things we did is we built this emotion detector for agents. So they know whether the customer is happy, angry, anxious, or just very about to explode. So the agents can actually use this not for efficiency, but to better serve the customers, solve their problems when they're in destination, trying to participate in one of those. So we've built all of this with AI to help our customer service, and right now I think we've seen a great achievement compared to 3 years ago.
Right, so you built an emo filter.
It's detector. So let's say you're an agent, you're looking at the screen, chatting to the customers. There's a small clipper on the side of the screen telling you, hey, angry, mind your words. Or this customer is happy, try to entertain with the customers. So we're guiding the agents through the emotions of the customer's side so they can provide a better service that is built for the customers. And this was not possible even 2 years ago. Yeah.
Wow, okay. I wish I have to have a poker face so that you can't read my emotions then.
Well, I mean, you type, right? How you talk will reveal how you think.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's talk about the connecting trip, which I think Google has it all, right? You have the connected trip, right, with all your data, right? So, but let's ask the audience, which part of the travel journey frustrates you the most today? Is it flight search and booking? Is it accommodation? Is tours and activities? Is it customer service after booking? What do you think? Which is, for you, which one is that?
So for me, it's E. It's customer service after booking. Because when something goes wrong, seconds and minutes matter, right? If I'm going to miss my flight, it's a really acute problem, and I need to fix it now. And particularly as an OTA in the middle of this whole ecosystem, it can be very difficult to join all of the data together and all of the providers together, ultimately to serve the traveler and to fix their problem. So I wish we could all, as an ecosystem, share our data a bit better and serve the traveler together a bit better in those moments.
Seems to be coming out as a very common theme, isn't it? Like contextual data. James, what would you pick?
I think E will win by a mile for the same reasons. We'll see what happens. I would say that there's a self-service aspect to this sort of disruption that will be quite interesting, I think, in the not-too-distant future. If you have a 3-year-old and it's raining in Paris and you really need a family-friendly restaurant now, if you have the context of the whole trip, you can suddenly have this magical moment where you say, here's the restaurant on the way to the museum you plan to visit this afternoon. Go there. There's no wait. And so I think we'll see a lot of
service at the
there.
point of disruption.
Yes,
okay.
And all kinds of disruption.
Yeah, agree. I think I've just said many things about customer service. But if I were to add, I think, no one voted for tours and activities. Question, how do you plan for your trip in destination? Is it easy, hard? How is it done? So why I ask this is, I think the thing for tours and activities is not one thing. It's multiple things per day. You're in Paris, you've been to Eiffel Tower, then there's the Louvre, and you have 4 more days. What else? Then you enter this loophole of finding information, making decisions, getting recommendations, finding legit suppliers that you trust. I think that's quite painful for me. Maybe I'm too spontaneous, but every time I go to a new place, 3 days after, I'm like, oh, what's next? Then comes the problem. So I think we're still trying to solve this, but yeah, a lot of
I
room of
think you're very much like the typical traveler in Asia. Like everything is so last minute. Why can't I do it now?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So
the audience disagrees with us, by the way. They think it's D, and I think that's interesting because I think the research actually bears that out. That problem, and we like to call it the spreadsheet problem internally.
Okay.
You know, why do I have 1,000 tabs on a spreadsheet to organize my trip? That is a real pain point. And I think we all live in the world of the product design and the technology, and I think we can all see the solution. We can see the answer here within reach. So I think that might be why we picked E and the audience picked D.
Yeah, exactly.
So the customers are telling you something different,
There we go.
right?
We just had it was a tie there.
But the customers are telling you differently. So this is interesting. This panel is very diverse. We got David, who's all in on the other David, who's all in on tours and activities, flight nerd, and accommodation guru here. So if I were to lock the 3 of you in a safe room and say, okay, come and solve the problem of stitching the connected trip, what would you do?
Is this a safe room or an escape room?
It can be a safe room. What would you do? How would you crack the problem between the 3 of you?
Well, I mean, if put business aside, I would like to share data with everyone, and everyone share everyone's data. So we understand, itinerary, where the customer is staying, why did they pick the hotel, and what was the intention when they were booking the flight in the first place, and then we can connect them all together. But understand the customers. I think each of us can provide what we do the best to fulfill those entire trips. But that's too ideal. I think, obviously data, yeah.
I think we're always looking to connect our travelers with partners who can book and service the tickets and activities, what have you. So I think that fit is a good one. We think we have a lot to bring in the long term around the connected trip and around all of this context. I think we'd make a good 3-person team.
Yeah.
We could do a lot.
Shall we go now?
Yeah.
I think that the beauty of this problem, particularly that kind of stitching it together thing, is that it's this super non-linear thing, right?
Yeah.
That the way that the whole industry is kind of organized, it's as if we're all on a train track and it's like search, book, off we go. And the reality is that that's not how people think about it. So you're in this world of moving between planning and booking and pulling in data from different places. So I think there's a user experience aspect to it, which is I think where booking heritage comes. There's a data aspect to it, which is where I think Google comes, and then there's the supply, obviously, which is what my other David friend here is brilliant at. So we can only solve it through the collaboration of all of the different parties in the ecosystem, I think.
All right. Well, I think the 3 of you should get together after this. But it's interesting what you talked about. How you are thinking. I mean, how OTAs think about the funnel, as you say, is like just linear like that. And I want to bring a quotation out from Jacinta, from Seek Sophie, who's in the room here. And this is a new startup in Singapore that's all about experiences that are unique and authentic. And she calls customer acquisition today, it's like a pinball game. And you really have to be a pinball wizard because the customer is doink, 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 going all over the place before you actually can catch that person. So this is the reality of customers today in Asia. I don't know what it's like in Europe. Okay, so let's talk about product mindsets and culture, right? And it's wonderful that you guys have the resources to experiment and innovate. But as you say, you have regulation. There's also limited budget, and then consumer trust is increasingly fragile. So how do you balance all that? And how do you decide when to innovate for that, but you have to protect what is precious, and booking accommodation is extremely precious.
I mean, that's the challenge of product management, right? How do you make those choices? And I think Omri said it earlier, right? We're in a moment now where we need to be doing more innovation than we would otherwise normally do because we're at this moment of change in the industry. I kind of mentioned it before, but the way we try to organize around it in booking is we try to, wherever possible, kind of abstract the noise away and create parts of our organization that can be really creative. and don't have to worry about some of the, which model to pick for an AI, for example, or how I comply with 20 different regulations at the same time. So we try to preserve those parts in our organization to be creative. And we rely on our experimentation culture to find the results. So I think at the end of the day, though, if we always just remember the customer, if we just meet the customer where they are, solve the problem that they care about, whether that's the traveler or the partner, by the way, then that's always going to keep us honest. That will always tell us where to go, and we follow that. That's, for me, the only solution to that question that you asked.
Okay. Keep focused and North Star, customer.
I think we look at a few bedrock principles that we adhere to around user trust, around protection of user data and privacy, around delivering user value while also delivering value to the ecosystem, and these are all bedrock for us. In the fast world we live in today, though, we also have to innovate very, very, very quickly. Google is not always the fastest at some of these things, but I think you'll see our velocity increase and our comfort experimenting with ideas that are imperfect increasing. We still honor the bedrock principles, but we'll increasingly try things that may not actually work well, learn from them, move on to the next as fast as we can. We've got to really optimize for speed of learning.
Right. Well, one clear theme comes out is like disrupt yourself or be disrupted, right? So, David, are you concerned about that? Is there some outsider? Just as Klook came in.
Yeah, I was going to say we were the disruptor
10
in the first place.
ago.
Yes. I think it's important to, there will always be disruptors, but I think it's always important to remember why we're here. I think we're solving real customer problems. There are just different ways to solve it. And be it disruptor or not, are you able to solve this problem better than your competitors, your peers, or whoever is trying to do this? I think that's what have kept us being until this moment. We really keep the customer thing the center of everything we do, and we will keep doing that. So that's one side. The other side, I think, for our business is the supply is also something quite, hard to build over 2 days. So I think for the past 10 years, we've been working with all these local suppliers, and that's not very easy to be disrupted. That being said, I think, yes, we're still trying to also think a similar mindset. What are we doing for the suppliers? How do we make sure they're earning money, they're growing, they're becoming better and better? So that's how our philosophy is in terms of how to build products for each of the parties.
Right. So if I may ask then, one question is like, who do you think has the best chance of disrupting you? Who has the best chance of disrupting Booking?
I have no idea, but maybe they're in this room. I don't know, right? And I don't try to predict who's going to disrupt us. I just try to focus on what we can do to meet the traveler.
All right. James, who can disrupt Google?
I think there are many potential disruptors. Hard to pick one. There are some obvious contenders.
Maybe not so obvious to me, so you could name them.
I'll apply the Voldemort rule and decline, but I think we have to deliver at increasingly high expectations every day. And I think the winners in that will always be the users and travelers of the world. I think the landscape we live in 2, 3, 5 years ago, travelers will have a radically better experience. So,
we hope so.
The disruption is good.
David, who has the best opportunity to disrupt Klook?
I think in 10 years, it might be the customer themselves, because the infrastructure has been more powerful, and they're able to do many of the things with the AI agents and stuff. And no platform is going to be in the game. It's the users totally control their own decisions and their bookings and whatever. But I think that's maybe in 20 years. I'm not too worried right now. Okay. Yeah, but that's the answer.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the audience now, and we'll ask them, who do you think will crack the travel problem first, okay? Is it Google? Is it Booking? Is it Klook? Is it AI itself? Is it none of the above? Travelers will still have to hack it themselves. And I didn't plan your answer, but what do you think? I mean, can I ask you to answer that?
I mean, of course I have to answer B, Booking, because that's what we're trying to do. But who knows? Okay. Honestly, this is the what's so interesting about this moment, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what the solution is to these problems, so we don't know what's going to emerge from it.
As you say, the bar has been raised, the starting line has been moved, right? So if you look at the answers here, is that travelers will have to hack it themselves. Okay, so we're going to end with rapid fire, one-word answers. Okay, fast forward to 2030. I know it's really far, right? You got a 3-year-old son, you're probably just thinking about tomorrow. But what travel problem will definitely be solved by then?
In 5 years,
Yeah, 5 years.
I think we'll have solved the itinerary.
The itinerary. Okay. James?
I'll go lower stakes. I'll say menus. I think every menu on Earth will be readable by everyone.
Menus.
Yes. AIs, LLMs are wonderfully good at menus across languages. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
It's well fed.
Yeah.
I'll say the logistics, the booking, the
Logistics.
searching, going there, QR code, everything will have be solved. Yeah.
Okay, which one will still stubbornly remain? The bugbear.
Flights will always be delayed.
I think we need to talk about who you fly with. I'll say FOMO, fear of missing out.
Users still need to be inspired somehow.
So those are like what will not change, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a theme coming out. It's like what will not change. Okay, so in 2025, we're talking about AI. In 2045, I won't be here, but what will we be talking about?
So I think this goes back to my first answer. I think we're going to be talking about authenticity and what it means and how to find it.
Okay.
So the iPhone, I think, is coming up on it's about 18 years since the iPhone launched, right? So roughly 20 years.
Yeah.
We still spend an immense amount of time talking about mobile. I think we'll still be talking about AI. Sorry for the boring answer.
Okay, I thought you would say, we're going to be talking about wearables or something.
Trickier.
No? Wearables?
Wearables, maybe. I think a lot of privacy questions about when you have devices that are always on you. I think that really opens up a world where we haven't really learned how to talk about yet or how to think about or regulate well yet.
I think we'll be talking about humans' role in all these.
Humans?
Yeah, like how are we doing as humans since AI, robotics, everything is taking over? What are we? And why are we here in the first place, humans?
Oh, that's so amazing, because yesterday, I think Adrian Curry, who was actually the mentor and the coach for Klook 10 years ago in Japan, I mean, he said that we will be talking about the meaning of being human.
Yeah.
I think so. All right. Please join me in thanking David, James, and David. Thank you so much.
For the next 2 hours.